fury that Meghan Markle continues to use her royal title, which is in...
He is frightened. I mean, he can be very angry with her, but then there are times when she really lets go.
As the attitude that she doesn't want me to see them, that's the way it's going to be. I won't. I
don't believe that that's her voice, on the grounds that every photograph we've seen of the alleged...
More and more people have grown uneasy, and some have openly criticized Meghan Markle for still using her royal title years after leaving official royal life. Now, the latest discussion touches on something even more delicate: her very young daughter, a child of about 3 years old who is almost never heard in public. Even so, each brief appearance or short clip of her voice quickly sparks widespread attention. That has led many people to question whether these moments are truly natural or part of a larger publicity plan. It also brings up a difficult issue. With carefully staged photos, polished videos, and well-timed family appearances, some wonder whether the priority is really the child's privacy or keeping the spotlight exactly where it actually is. Samantha Markle, who has watched these events closely and often voiced her concerns, believes there is more going on than many people notice at first. She says that once you look beyond the polished image, several details raise questions instead of providing clear answers.
I don't believe that that's her voice, on the grounds that every photograph we've seen of the alleged...
She says that over the years, despite the carefully chosen photos and rare public appearances, there still has not been a clear, steady image that helps people recognize familiar family traits. Even basic things such as hair color have fueled constant online debate because different pictures seem to show different details. What makes her view especially notable is that Samantha is part of the extended family. If even someone that closely connected says certain things are hard to make sense of, it is not surprising that the public keeps asking questions. Now that the children are being seen more often than before, many commentators are asking the same thing. Why now? Why the sudden shift after so many years of keeping them mostly out of sight? Many royal watchers believe the reason may have less to do with the royal family and more to do with Meghan's business plans. One project often mentioned is her podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder. It was seen as a major part of her post-royal chapter, meant to highlight business, personal experiences, and a new public image. But reports say the show slowly fell in the rankings and eventually dropped out of the top group altogether.
His daughter doesn't speak at all like a 3-year-old. Who owns the voice? It will show up much better.
There was no big announcement and no major headline about the drop. Instead, public interest seemed to weaken step by step. For someone whose image has been built around influence, visibility, and staying in the public eye, that quiet decline quickly became something people talked about. Soon after reports about the podcast's weaker performance began to spread, new family photos and moments featuring Lilibet started drawing attention online. The timing became a talking point on its own. Of course, no one can prove that every photo or short video is linked to news coverage or public reaction. That would be impossible to confirm. Still, critics say that when these moments are viewed over time, they seem to form a pattern. Whenever attention starts to fade, a new family-centered moment often appears and shifts the mood in a softer, more positive direction. Whether that is deliberate or just a coincidence, it has become part of the broader public conversation. One example people pointed to came after fresh discussion about the podcast's standing. Audiences were then given another small look at family life: a quiet child's voice, homemade strawberry jam, calm kitchen scenes, and moments presented as warm, simple, and easy to relate to.
That has political influence and influences voters. So with that said, we've heard about...
Those clips quickly drew a lot of attention. Supporters viewed them as touching family moments, while critics questioned whether the timing was really a coincidence. Royal commentator Angela Levin has said that family content naturally creates an emotional bond with the public. Young children often bring out warmth and sympathy, and when opinion is split, those gentler moments can quickly soften the wider conversation. Whether people agree with that view or not, there is no doubt these brief family glimpses sparked major interest and were widely discussed on social media and in the press. For some observers, the issue is not just publicity but consistency. They argue that when a public brand is struggling, sharing more personal family content can attract attention that business projects may no longer be getting on their own. Others strongly disagree and see these as nothing more than normal family moments shared once in a while. Whatever side people take, the debate has only become louder as more images have appeared. That has also brought fresh focus to Prince Harry's long-standing views on children's privacy. Over the years, he has spoken many times about the harm intense media attention can cause young people.
Ripped off her new podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder, from this woman.
A large part of Harry's public work has focused on shielding children from unnecessary online exposure and encouraging safer, healthier digital spaces. Those views are closely tied to his own childhood, which unfolded under non-stop public attention. He has often spoken about how intense media coverage affected his family when he was young and the lasting effect it had on the people closest to him. Because of that, he has repeatedly said he wants his own children to grow up differently, with more privacy, stronger protection, and far less pressure than he faced. That is one reason the current debate has drawn so much attention. Many commentators are now comparing Harry's long-standing public stance on privacy with the family's more recent choice to share carefully selected glimpses of life at home from time to time. Angela Levin believes this is where the issue becomes especially notable. In her view, Meghan has gradually revealed more of the children over time, little by little, despite Harry's repeated public comments about keeping their lives private. It has not happened through big announcements or dramatic reveals. Instead, she describes it as a quiet, steady shift. Brief family scenes have become more common, the children have occasionally been heard speaking, and small moments from home life have reached audiences around the world.
Always some little hand that seemed so small it didn't seem like it belonged to a 3-year-old.
That has led some royal commentators to question how these choices are made behind closed doors and how much influence each parent has over the family's public image. The issue has opened a wider debate about where privacy ends and public storytelling begins. Critics say that once very young children appear in carefully produced lifestyle content, serious concerns are bound to come up. At that age, children cannot understand what it may mean for their images or voices to be shared so widely for years to come. Because of that, some commentators believe parents should be extremely careful about how much family life they show in public. Others see these clips as innocent, everyday moments with no deeper meaning. Whatever view people hold, the debate has become hard to ignore. As that conversation grew, another issue quickly took center stage. At roughly the same time that reports of the podcast losing momentum were spreading and family content was appearing more often, royal watchers spotted something else that made headlines. It involved a royal style that many thought had been resolved years ago. That one small detail soon turned into a major talking point. Sometimes the detail that causes the biggest reaction is the one sitting quietly in the background. During the much-discussed interview with Jamie Kern-Lima, viewers noticed many things, but some focused on a small label on a gift basket. Printed on it were 3 well-known letters, HRH, along with the words Duchess of Sussex. That brief detail quickly sparked a new wave of online debate. The reason it drew so much attention goes back to the agreement made in early 2020. When Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties, it was made clear that although they would keep their Duke and Duchess titles, they would no longer use HRH in their working roles.
You guys, enjoy this one. All right, well, as Meghan-bound coverage begins, forget Megxit. Meghan-bound is now all we'll be talking.
That arrangement became one of the most talked about parts of their exit from official royal life, and many people saw it as a key part of the deal made at the time. Since then, many royal watchers believed the issue was settled. So when the letters HRHRH appeared on the gift basket label, it immediately raised questions. Was it just an old label? Was it a simple mistake? Or was there another reason behind it? No official updates suggested that the earlier agreement had changed, but those 3 letters alone were enough to trigger a fresh round of public debate. For many royal commentators, the issue is about more than just a title. They say it reflects the need to keep past agreements clear and consistent. The original deal was meant to set boundaries after Harry and Meghan stepped away from official duties while giving both sides a way to move forward. That is why any sign those boundaries may have shifted is almost certain to draw attention. The debate grew even stronger because of where the label appeared. This was not a random photo taken by accident. It was shown during a professionally produced interview in a carefully prepared setting. Jamie Kern-Lima is well known as a successful businesswoman with deep experience in branding and presentation. Because of that, some commentators questioned whether such a noticeable detail could really have stayed in view without being seen in advance. Others said it may simply have been missed during production. Without clear clarification, both views remain opinion rather than proven fact. Buckingham Palace has not publicly turned the issue into a larger dispute, keeping the calm and measured approach it has often taken in matters involving Harry and Meghan. Even so, many royal commentators have claimed that the reappearance of the title caused frustration in royal circles. Those reports have not been confirmed, but they have added another layer to the continuing debate over the couple's relationship with the monarchy and the terms agreed after their departure. Another person who spoke out strongly was Samantha Markle, Meghan's half-sister. Samantha claimed that Meghan has shown kindness to friends and public figures through thoughtful gifts and personal gestures, while saying their father has received no similar support despite his widely reported health problems.
Elizabeth II tried so hard why it was never strong enough. They should be stripped of their titles, shouldn't they?
Samantha's remarks have added a more personal and emotional layer to the wider family debate. Meghan has not publicly answered those specific claims, but the discussion now reaches beyond royal matters. Some legal commentators have also raised questions about royal titles in connection with American constitutional history. They often point to Article 1, Section 9 of the U.S. Constitution, which deals with the acceptance of foreign titles or honors by people serving in certain government roles, unless Congress approves it. Because Meghan Markle is an American citizen, that clause is sometimes mentioned in online debate. However, legal experts generally say it applies to people holding qualifying public office, so whether it has any relevance to Meghan remains a matter of legal argument, not settled fact. As a result, the issue continues to draw attention on both sides of the Atlantic. Samantha argues that the matter is about more than royal custom. In her view, using a British royal title while living and working in the United States raises wider cultural and legal questions that continue to fuel debate. She often refers to broader discussions about the Constitution and how foreign titles are viewed in American public life. Legal experts, however, usually note that these constitutional rules were mainly written to address government officials and concerns about foreign influence, not private citizens. Because of that, there is no clear legal agreement on how those ideas apply in a case like this. Even so, Samantha believes the issue goes beyond legal language. To her, it reflects bigger questions about identity, influence, and how titles are seen in modern America. She also argues that Meghan has become more involved in public conversations outside entertainment, including appearances at major events and discussions on social issues. Because of that visibility, Samantha believes continued use of a royal title is bound to bring extra scrutiny. Others disagree and see the title as simply part of Meghan's background rather than any kind of political message. Whatever side people take, the subject continues to spark strong debate on both sides of the Atlantic.
And, I think this is a huge decoy. It's a red herring from all of the bullying.
Samantha has been especially clear about how she sees the image tied to the title. In her view, much of its power comes from the status people attach to it, and she believes public opinion is shaped not only by actions, but also by symbols. Whether people agree with her or not, her remarks have become another part of the larger discussion about Meghan's public image and how her brand has changed since leaving royal duties. From there, Samantha moves away from legal and constitutional arguments and turns to something far more personal, her father, Thomas Markle. She has often spoken about his poor health and older age, saying she feels he has been left out despite everything that has happened over the years. She compares that with Meghan's widely reported gestures toward friends and public figures and says she wishes the same level of care had been shown to their father. Meghan has not publicly responded to those specific comments, but Samantha's words continue to strike a chord with many people who follow the family story. According to Samantha, this says more than any argument over titles ever could. She believes kindness should be steady, especially within a family, and says public acts of generosity mean very little if close relatives feel ignored. Supporters and critics still see the situation in very different ways, but the emotional side of the debate has now become just as important as the questions around royal status. The discussion then turns back to another issue Prince Harry has raised many times: protecting children from too much public exposure. He has repeatedly said he wants his children to have a more private childhood than the one he had. He has spoken about growing up under non-stop media attention and explained that those experiences strongly shaped the way he parents today. Since leaving official royal duties, that focus on privacy has become one of the clearest themes in his public life. Because of those earlier statements, some royal commentators have questioned the family's more recent choice to occasionally share carefully selected moments involving Archie and Lilibet. Angela Levin is among those who believes the children have slowly become more visible over time through short clips, photos, and brief family scenes. She argues that the shift happened so gradually that many people barely noticed it at first. Others, however, see those appearances as limited and tightly controlled.
This senior royal family sources are disgusted about this. What is she playing at? Is she purposeful?
That has made the debate yet another example of how the same events can be read in very different ways. For some observers, the bigger issue is consistency. If one parent has spoken strongly about privacy, while the family sometimes shares more personal moments, people are naturally going to wonder how those choices are made. Since Harry and Meghan have not explained those private discussions publicly, the questions remain open. Because of that, commentators continue to offer very different views on what these appearances really mean. Samantha also widens the conversation by comparing the Sussexes' approach with that of the Wales family. She says Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, have mostly kept their children out of the public eye, allowing them to be seen mainly at official events, while trying to protect their privacy as much as possible. Royal commentators often point to that contrast when discussing the different ways royal parents handle public life. Samantha has also brought up earlier disputes involving Meghan and members of the Wales family, including the long-running discussion around Princess Charlotte before the royal wedding. Those incidents have stayed in the public conversation for years, with different versions and opinions still circulating because many of the claims were never fully cleared up in public. As a result, they remain part of the wider story about the relationship between the two households rather than settled fact. Looking at all of this together, Samantha believes it suggests a broader pattern. In her view, questions about family ties, children's privacy, and public image have become more and more linked. Others strongly reject that idea and see the different controversies as separate issues with no real connection. Either way, the discussion keeps growing, and each new public appearance adds another chapter to a story that is already under close watch. Another moment that drew attention came during Meghan's interview with Jamie Kern-Lima. As she spoke about her personal life, Meghan said she now sees herself as a good wife and a good friend, and that she no longer feels the need to keep proving herself. Many viewers focused on that message of confidence and personal growth. Others looked at the interview in a completely different way, watching her body language and facial expressions just as closely as her words.
Shaking, he was tears, crying, weeping.
Body language experts and online commentators shared many different opinions. But it is important to remember that body language is highly subjective and cannot reliably reveal what a person is truly thinking or feeling. Some commentators also noticed that while Meghan spoke about the important relationships in her life, she highlighted certain roles without mentioning every part of her extended family. That observation has led to more online speculation, but there are many possible reasons someone may choose to focus on some relationships more than others during an interview. Without a direct explanation from Meghan, any conclusion remains personal opinion rather than proven fact. One point still stands out strongly to Samantha. During a carefully produced interview designed to center Meghan's personal story, Samantha says something important was left out. Meghan spoke about the people she values and the relationships that matter most to her, yet in Samantha's view, there was no mention of members of her own family. To Samantha, that was not just a simple omission. She believes every part of a major interview is planned with care, which means both what is included and what is left out can appear intentional. Whether others agree or not, that view has become another talking point around the interview. Samantha also raises another issue she believes deserves more attention: the friendships Meghan has highlighted over the years. If the message is that these relationships are deep and lasting, Samantha questions what happened to some of the people who were once described as Meghan's closest friends before royal life, before major streaming deals, and before worldwide attention became part of the story. One name often brought up is Jessica Mulroney. For years, Jessica seemed to be one of Meghan's closest supporters, standing beside her during major life moments and public events. Then, after public controversy in 2020, the friendship appeared to disappear from public view. Neither side has said much about what changed, which has left a great deal of speculation, but very few confirmed facts. To Samantha, that change fits a broader pattern in which some relationships become less visible when circumstances shift. She also mentions Nanaki Pretty, another longtime friend whose name has slowly faded from public conversation about Meghan's inner circle. Unlike some other friendship stories that made headlines, there was no dramatic public falling out. Instead, Samantha points to how the friendship simply faded from view without any real explanation.
Is taking a step back from her friendship with Jessica Mulrooney.
One of my closest girlfriends is here.
Whether this simply reflects how friendships naturally change over time or something more cannot be known from the outside. Still, commentators often point to it as another example when discussing Meghan's changing group of friends. Attention then shifted to Jamie Kern-Lima herself. Jamie is widely known as a successful entrepreneur who built a major cosmetics company and later sold it in a historic deal. Because of her strong background in branding and influence, some commentators felt the interview was more than just a casual talk between friends. Others saw it as a personal conversation between two high-profile women, without assuming any larger purpose behind it. Both views remain opinions, but the pairing drew plenty of attention. Another well-known name that entered the discussion was Gwyneth Paltrow. After remarks she made in an interview with Vanity Fair, many people online examined not only her words but also what they thought she might have meant. Some saw her comments as calm and respectful, while others believed there was more behind them. Soon after, Meghan and Gwyneth appeared together in a social media post, which many people took as a sign that there was no public tension between them. Even so, commentators kept debating whether the timing meant something more or whether public curiosity had simply turned it into a bigger story than the facts supported. Some observers also noticed that Meghan appeared not long afterward with a more natural style, which led to comparisons with the look often linked to Gwyneth. Whether that was intentional or just a coincidence is impossible to know, but it quickly became another popular topic online. These kinds of visual comparisons often spread fast on social media, even when there's no real proof that they mean anything deeper.
Gwyneth Paltrow just got muckled, and it's a beautiful thing to watch.
The comparison continued when Martha Stewart was asked about a separate story involving a pasta recipe that unexpectedly linked her name to Meghan's. Martha answered calmly and did not add to the drama, which led some commentators to praise her steady response. Instead of turning it into a public exchange, she simply replied and moved on. For many observers, that moment showed two very different ways of handling public attention. From there, the wider discussion returned to the issue of authenticity. Many public figures try hard to appear relatable. But in the end, audiences decide for themselves whether those moments feel genuine or carefully planned. Meghan has said she no longer feels the need to prove herself. Even so, public debate around her interviews, friendships, and appearances has continued. Supporters may see confidence, while critics may see careful image control. Much depends on personal opinion. Samantha then comes back to the issue that has shaped much of this debate from the start: the children. She says that when she watched the widely discussed kitchen clip featuring a child's voice in everyday family scenes, she did not personally recognize anything familiar. She also claims that her father, Thomas Markle, has likewise been unable to identify his grandchildren from the images released publicly. These statements reflect Samantha's personal views and have not been independently confirmed. Still, those claims have become a major part of the online debate around the family. For Samantha, this issue matters far more than arguments about titles, interviews, or public image. In her view, the deeper story is about a family still divided after years of distance. Others strongly reject her view and say family conflicts are rarely as simple as they seem from the outside. Without direct answers from everyone involved, many of these questions remain unsettled. As the debate grew, commentators began tying together several separate issues: the renewed focus on the podcast, the HRH label, questions about the children's privacy, changing friendships, and long-running family tensions. Critics say these events suggest a broader pattern. Supporters, however, argue that people are connecting unrelated developments through speculation. Whatever side people take, the discussion has clearly kept building rather than fading away. In the end, this story leads people to very different conclusions. Some see careful image management, while others see a family trying to handle an unusual level of public attention. What is clear is that debate around Meghan, Harry, and the royal family is not going away anytime soon, and each new public moment seems to spark fresh conversation. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next look at the biggest royal headlines. We would also love to hear what you think, so leave a comment and share your view on the debate. If you found this discussion worth watching, pass it along to someone else who follows the royal family.